Hello, my name is Shay. I am a real estate media producer, and I have created a preset system for doing speed ramps. And today we're going to do a comparison of doing it with the preset versus doing it manually the old-fashioned way. This preset was written specifically for people who are frustrated with doing it manually because there are so many steps. So we're going to actually count the steps today, and then you can make the decision if you think it's worth it. If you don't know how to do speed ramping, watch this video because I'm going to show you exactly how to create what you're looking at right now. And so we've got two different ways to do it. And to save time, we're only going to do the first half. Obviously, there's two clips here, and we have to do a speed ramp on both of them. But what exactly is it? The first clip starts off slow and then speeds up. And then the second clip begins fast and then slows down. So there's this change of speed going from fast to slow. Okay, so here's clip number one. And I'm gonna put up on the screen here, we're gonna count how many steps there is. And let me just bring this down here so we can see what we're doing. And so the first step in the preset system is to finalize the clip with a keyboard shortcut. So that's step one. The second step is for me to look over into the right and find out how many frames I have, which is 411. I'm going to go ahead and just clear this out. Third step is for me to type in and search for the shortcut that I need, which in this case is this one. The next step is to drag that. And then the next step is for me to find the end of that transition that I just added using some arrow keys and then trim the clip. So this is absolutely completely finished now. I just did half of the process, which is adding the speed ramp, and you can see it right there. Also, as an added bonus with the preset, if you look at the last couple of frames, you will see that there's some motion blur built in. You start to see a little bit of a blurry look, and that's a built-in transition that will help smooth out that move from first clip to second clip. Okay, so our total number of steps to create the first half of this with the preset is on the screen now. So we're going to keep that in the back of our head, and now we're going to move forward to clip number two, and we're going to do this the old-fashioned way, the manual way, the way that DaVinci has built in. And this is called retime controls and retime curve. And there are several ways to do it, but here's the most common way. First step is right-click on the clip and turn on retime controls. And that opens up this new interface where I see these blue arrows. The second step would be for me to watch this clip and decide, when do I want it to speed up? At what point are we going to start this acceleration? Because obviously this is very slow. So typically with speed ramping, we show a second or two of slow motion, and then we start speeding up. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my clip there. The first step was finding the spot. Now I have to click on this little thing here. That's a step. I'm going to add the speed point. That's another step. And you can see it now added a white line, which is hard to see, but it's underneath this red playhead. Okay, so now I need to speed up the clip on the second half. I move my cursor to the right side and hover over the top right corner, and I get a little double arrow line. By the way, it's easy to mess up because if I move the cursor down here, I get a different icon. So you have to be careful. It's not just so easy. And now I'm going to drag this, and I'm watching my percentage to see how fast it's moving. So I'm speeding it up. I'm looking at it. And now I've got to the point now where I can't really tell. The clip has gotten so small, I can't see what I'm doing. So I'm forced to expand my timeline again so that I can have some visuals. I'm going to come up, find this spot again. And so we're just guessing here. We don't know. So now we have to review and watch the clip and see how that looks. That actually looks pretty good. One thing that I know from experience because this is guesswork with this technique, is that after you smooth out that transition, things usually slow down a little bit. So I am now going to readjust this, and we'll go up to say 2,500%. Okay, so let's review and see how it looks. That looks about right. Okay, so now we're going from 100% to 2,500% instantaneously. That is not smooth, so we have to put a ramp on there. How do we do that? Next step is to right-click on the clip and open up our retime curve controls. Okay, so now I see that something happened, but I don't have any controls visible. They're all hidden in there. So now I have to adjust my user interface to get to it. Okay, good. Now I can see that box. But, and let me tell you, in case you haven't done this before, there's a bunch of lines on here that are confusing. This middle line, we're going to ignore that. DaVinci just turns that on by default automatically. We don't want to see it. We don't want to know anything about it, but it's fine being there. Now this bottom line shows me that this is me moving at 100%. And then this is the speed change. And I can't see the top. So now I am forced to another step of coming up here to this where it says 1900, which is again tricky. Once you hover your cursor over it, you can see you get a little double arrow. Now you can drag to change just so you can see the top of the line. Just totally wasted time to have to constantly be adjusting all this stuff. Okay, so now I can see my speed change. I now need to smooth out these hard corners. And the way you do that is you click on that thing. There's another step. And then I come up here. This is the curve button. I click that. And that puts a tiny little curve on there. By the way, if you have several speed ramps in one clip, you can't do it all at once. You have to do them individually. Okay, so now that I've got my curve, you might want to review it, but I can tell you right now that's still very, very abrupt. So we want to improve and increase that curve. So now I have to come up and click on one of these little tiny arrows and drag it out. Boom. Okay, so that is the maximum that I'm able to extend that curve and smooth it out with that technique. However, there is another extra step that's advanced. If you click on this little outside button, you can see how it highlights that line, and hold down the Command or Control key, it will allow you to extend that on just the one side. And if you watch that curve, you can see the curve changing. So now I've smoothed out that curve as much as I possibly can. And now it's time to review and see how does it look, because we may have to adjust it. I think that is a little bit slow. It doesn't quite have that zip zoom going through the end of it. In order to do that, I have to grab the end here and drag it in and move that speed up a little higher. And once again, I've lost the top of my chart here, but I don't think we need to see it. Okay. I think it should be a little faster, but I think we're done. But wait, we still have more steps. We've got all this stuff expanded. So now I have to right-click again and turn off this retime curve. And I right-click again, and then have to click again to turn off retime controls. So now I have officially finished the process. And let's put the number of steps up onto the screen. And now would be a great time to compare the two different versions. How many steps? And just obviously I'm biased because I do have a system that I have for sale, but my system didn't require any of that extra junk. It was just drag it on and it's done. You didn't have to review. You didn't have to adjust. There was no guesswork involved. Certainly the new system, the old system, I can customize it and make that ramp exactly the way I want. You don't get that option with the first one, but it looks great. Let's look at it again. There it is. And let me just drag this extra clip over to the manual one that we just did so you can see how it looks there. And I think that looks good too. So they both accomplish the same thing. If you buy the preset system, you're not buying it because it does speed ramps. You can do speed ramps all by yourself. It's pretty easy. I just showed you. You're buying it because it's way faster and way more simple, way easier. You're paying for convenience. If you want a cup of coffee, you can use a coffee machine like a Keurig or an espresso and just push a button. Or you can build a fire and boil water on a campfire outside and hand grind the beans. That's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about the time saving, the ease of doing it. And the truth is, this one actually looks a little better because there is a built-in little bit of a motion blur transition on some of them, so it just gives you better looking results. It's a little cleaner as opposed to a little bit more harsh. So that's the end of the system. I just wanted to just react to some comments I saw online. This is not being sold to people who don't know how to do speed ramps. It's being sold as an alternative that's way faster and way easier. That is the value. And if you have any experience with speed ramping in DaVinci, you know what a pain it is to go through all of that retime curve, retime frame, click the dots, click the curve. It just drives you insane. Now, if you've got a 3-minute long video and you've got 15 or 20 of these speed ramp transitions, you're talking about a massive time crunch there. So this is just so much easier, and that's the truth of it. And I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something.